All right. We talked about percent change. We talked about percent change in the last video. So we're looking at some common ways that we see this, some applications of percent change. And that's with discounts and markups. I mentioned that in our last notes a little bit, kind of made up some problems. And this is where we really start to see it. So discounts, you see this at stores all the time, some percent off. And so that's really what they have written right here, is that some percent of the original price, 30% off, 30% of the original price. And you can set that up as an equation or as a proportion. But the final price is not the discount. The final price is the original minus the discount. So if you see that word discount, things are going to be reduced. It's the original cost minus that discount. A markup, this is where companies make money, and this is how they make money, and they need to make money to be a company, so they have to mark up the cost. So, Walmart might sell, I pick on Walmart because they're big and they're in town. Target does the same thing. So Walmart, they have bins of DVDs that are like $5, right? When those DVDs first came out, the same material, the exact same case, the exact same disc, cost $19.99. So the cost of the DVD when it first came out, $19.99. It costs a lot. But now it's only $5. Now there's no way that Walmart is going to take a hit on that. They're not going to lose money on selling the DVD at any cost. So even at $5, they're probably making some money. And so you don't have this in your notes, I'm just talking about a random example here, but let's say that Walmart is selling a DVD for $5. There's no way that that DVD cost them more than $5 to buy, because then they would lose money. So let's say they bought the DVD for $3. So the original price of the DVD, it cost Walmart $3 for that DVD. I don't know what DVD is out right now, but original cost was $3 for that DVD. And they're selling it, not for $5, that's later on. They're selling it for $20. That's a pretty big markup. So if we think about our equation that we have, our formula, we have the amount of change over the original. So the amount of change from $3 to $20, that's a $17 markup. Okay? So you have a $17 markup. And we want to know what percent change is that. What is that percent markup? And if we look at, if we change that to a decimal, we got 17 over 3. So 17 divided by 3, we're looking at a 5.6 repeating percent, or a decimal markup, which becomes a 566% markup. That's a big markup. They took the original cost and marked up that price 566%. They're making 566% on every single DVD that they sell. Eventually, they start knocking it down. After a month, it becomes $15, and after 9 months, it becomes $10, and eventually, after a couple of years, nobody really wants it anymore, so they're trying to sell it and unload it for $5. But even at $5, you're looking at a $2 increase, which gives us 0.66. Even when they sell it for $5, they're still making a 66% profit off of that DVD. So Walmart, Target, whomever's still making a pretty good margin on that. But that original cost, when you buy it for $20, that's a 566% markup on that DVD. But that's how businesses are run. That's how they make money. But a markup, you're taking that wholesale cost. Wholesale cost is what are they buying it for? Because they're buying 1 million DVDs, not just one, plus that markup. Okay, so here's an example. An entrance fee at an amusement park is $35. People over the age of 65 receive 20% discount. What's the amount of the discount? So the fee is $35, so that's the original cost. That's the original cost. We don't know how much they're getting a discount for, but we do know that it gets 20%. 20% off. So I'm going to use a proportion, 20%. If I then cross multiply and divide, I get a $7 discount. So they get 20% off. That's a $7 discount. So what's the amount of the discount? $7. But there's another question. 2 question marks. If there's 2 question marks, we need to have 2 answers. So 2 question marks, 2 answers. We've got 1 answer, $7. How much do people over 65 pay? Well, if the original price was $35 and they had a discount, so it's going to be less, a discount of $7, we're going to have a $28 cost if you are 65 or older. Sorry, not 65 or older, over 65. And that's how we can use this formula, use this idea of percent change to figure out the new cost. So pause this one, give it a shot, because we've been working on this for a while now. So pause this, give it a try on your own, see what you can get for both parts, both questions. I'm going to assume you paused it. Here's how we're going to set it up. The wholesale cost of a DVD is $7. That's the original. The markup is 85%. 85%. I'm going to change it to a decimal for this one, just because. We don't know how much it's being marked up. Oh, so kind of like the problem I was working on earlier. So if they have a $7 DVD that Target buys a bunch of DVDs for $7 each, and we want to figure out how much are they going to sell that DVD for. So if we solve for n, we're looking at 7 times 0.85. 7 times 0.85. We're looking at $5.95. But remember, that's not the new price. If Target bought the DVD for $7 and they sold it for $5.95, they would lose money. Target is not going to try and lose money on purpose. So we got to figure out what the actual selling price is. It was originally 7. Now we have to add on that markup. So they bought the DVD for 7. They're going to add an extra $5.95, and they're actually going to sell the DVD. My pen stopped working there. Let's see if I can't move it around a little bit so I can finish. They're going to sell the DVD for $12.95. There we go. And that's the final selling price. I'm going to label. And there we go. That seems about right, though. You know, if you went to the store, $12.95, that's kind of what you see them being sold for. But Target is making $5.95 off of each of those DVDs. Plus, you know, electricity and, you know, they have to staff people. And I mean, they have to pay a lot of money to keep a Target open. All right, new question. Same idea, find the sale price. All right, so you had an opportunity here to pause it, try it on your own. We're going to work through it. A $220 bicycle was on sale for 60% off. So it started at $220. I don't know how much it's going to be reduced by, how much we're going to save. So that's my N, and it's a 60%. I'm going to write 60% as a fraction for this one. So I can set up a proportion. I can cross multiply and divide. And if I do 60 times 220 times 220, I'm going to get 13,200 equals 100. And divide both sides by 100 to get n by itself. And I'm going to get $132. But remember, that's not the final cost, right? That's the savings. If I save 50%, I'm saving half. I'm saving $110. So $132, I'm saving 60%. But that's not the final cost. It started at 220. I have a discount of 132. So my final cost then, what am I going to get? I'm going to get $88, which makes sense because if I'm saving 60%, I'm going to pay less than half. I'm only going to pay 40% of that final cost, which is $88. Students, so here you go, students. You're buying supplies for school, for art school. Yeah, art supplies for school. It's $31.20 for the art supplies. They normally cost $52. So the original cost was $52. Now, the amount of change, how much does it change? Well, we know the new cost. We know the new cost, but we don't know how much it changed. So let's figure that out. Because remember that the formula says we take the original, we take the amount of change. How much does it change? 31.20. And so if we subtract, we're going to get, what, $20.80. Double check my math for me there, but that should be right, $20.80. So the amount of change, 2080. And I want to know what that percent is. What's the percent discount? But we had to take that extra step and figure out how much did it change. Now I can just divide. I've got a nice little setup here. I'm going to divide. I'm going to take $20.80 divided by $52 and get that P equals 0.4. But again, we got to change that to a percent. So we go to the right, and we get 40%. The percent discount, they got 40% off, which is a little less than half. So they paid a little over half, which, yeah, if they paid $31 for a $52 item, that's a little over half. So they got 40% off. Ray paid $12 for a $15 t-shirt. Give this one a shot so you can figure out what the percent discount is. I'm going to assume that you tried this on your own. Again, we know the original was $15. We know we paid Ray paid $12 for it. So it changed $3. So the amount of change was 3. I want to know the percent. I'm going to set it up as a proportion. Why not? Because I can change my percent to a decimal or a fraction. So 300 equals 15p. I divide both sides by 15, and I get a 20% discount. Really, at this point, the setup should be the hardest part. Solving the proportion should be a breeze at this point. I'm hoping that you can cross multiply and divide to get your final answer. The setup should be hard, and we're really working on which number goes where. So we're using a formula. Where do you put the numbers? That's the hardest part. But we want to look at that original cost. The original goes in our denominator with this formula. How much did it change? Well, it changed $3, so the amount of change was $3. And then we have our percent either as a fraction or a decimal. Video game, 70% markup. So it's going up, it's getting bigger, it's getting more expensive. So 70% markup. The wholesale cost, the original cost was $9, and we got to figure out what the selling price is. So if we solve, we multiply both sides by 9 to get x by itself. And you'll notice I keep going back and forth between decimals and percents, decimals and fractions, proportions and equations. I don't care which way you do it, but we need to be able to look at both of them and work with both ways of doing it. And so we should get 630. But again, that's not the final answer. That's the markup. That's how much they're adding to the cost. So $9 plus $6.30. We're going to end up with $15.30 as our final selling price. And it's really important that you look at the question and figure out what they're asking. I'm going to skip that one. You're certainly welcome to do it on your own, but I'm going to skip it in the video for now. You've got 2 problems here. Give these 2 a try on your own, and of course this one, and we'll come back to school ready to ask questions.